This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. One of the most recognizable and iconic watch companies in the world is Rolex. It's without a doubt the watch brand that generates the greatest excitement, media attention, and anticipation before, during, and after the release of its new models each year. One of the watch industry's most eagerly awaited events happens once a year, specifically Rolex's launch of new models and the corresponding end of older ones. Like many other watch companies, Rolex has a long-standing custom of releasing new models once a year. With just a few exceptions, Rolex has largely adhered to this practice. This still holds for 2023. This year especially, there's a lot of excitement because some models are commemorating anniversary years. Once again, predictions about what will happen in the upcoming year are being made in the watch industry. Like every year, certain launches are predictable, while others will catch everyone off guard. In today's video brought to you by The Luxury World, we will be taking a good guess on some of the top watch brands in the industry, starting from Rolex and the other biggest watch brands. If you still have not subscribed to our channel, make sure to do it now so you can stay updated on our future videos. What are the contributions that Omega, Patek Philippe, Rolex, Tudor, and Audemars Piguet will make? We don't know. That can't even stop us from making assumptions, making wishes, hoping, and dreaming though. Even though January is just going over, we've already seen watches with dials the color of throat lozenge, Zenith watches without dials, an oddball Tag Heuer Monza that gives off Van Gogh vibes, and a Bulgari Serpenti covered in various gemstones. Rolex will continue its utilization of titanium. A picture of renowned Olympic sailor Sir Ben Ainslie sporting a titanium Yachtmaster while out on the ocean surface a few years ago. It was assumed that it was a prototype of some sort. Our little section of the internet was on fire. However, it never left our thoughts and served as a reminder to us that Rolex was using an extremely light material. Even though Rolex watches are notorious for being difficult to find, the renowned manufacturer does not produce limited or unique editions. Therefore, it's reasonable to predict that there will be a gradual expansion throughout their catalog once a material advancement has been presented by Rolex. Rolex ended 2022 with the release of the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge, in which they have branded RLX Titanium, marking the company's long-awaited transition away from the crown. The watch's 50mm diameter makes it a big boy that not many people will be able to wear. Fans of Rolex are therefore naturally excited for new products that are cased in RLX titanium. Rolex released a large titanium watch in March of last year, more than 6 months after the release of the new Air King, GMT Master 2, and Platinum Day Date that permanently put us off the metal. Speaking about the 50mm watch that they also released last year, we want to see more wearable items developed from the deep sea, which felt more like a proof of concept than anything else. This year celebrates the 60th anniversary of the Daytona, as well as the 70th anniversary of the Explorer and Submariner for those who don't have a Rolex anniversary calendar by their bed. It's important to note that Rolex doesn't always commemorate the birthdays of the models in its line, but occasionally it does, as it did, for instance, in 2013 with the Platinum Daytona. Let's keep on that thread, as Rolex has indicated a desire to celebrate big for the Daytona, and since we have recently seen upgrades to the Explorer with a return of 36mm and the introduction of the two-tone watch. There is also the iteration of Submariner with an upsize to 41mm and new green bezel and black dial combination watches. Honestly, the steel and ceramic bezel Daytona variants have been around for about 7 years. Although 7 years may seem like a long time, consider the unfortunate Milgauss, who has been idle for a little over 10 years. In any case, we can anticipate a titanium 60th anniversary Rolex Daytona, though perhaps not exactly how we anticipate it. Possibly a watch with a full titanium bezel akin to the white and yellow gold metal on metal bezels will be released. We may receive a mirror-polished, totally brushed bracelet made of titanium, or we may not. Most often, we get a dial color that we are not expecting. Whatever happens with the Daytona, titanium is an option for any model in the Rolex lineup this year. Maybe Rolex goes all out and releases a titanium version of each sport watch it sells. Although it would shock us, it would also be exciting. In the end, the 50mm Deep Sea might be the only Rolex ever produced in titanium, but let's hope it isn't. the Holy Trinity turns back to steel. The vacheron Constantin 222 stunned everyone by selling for $62,500 and being the greatest gold last year. This one is wonderful, but too sophisticated and pricey. And look, we get it, was the constant thought of those of us who got to hold it in our hands and see it in person. Steel is less expensive than anything precious. Yet these three brands, which are Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Vacheron Constantin, are skilled in its use. This is a $1,000 hobby, but steel is also a metal. As part of the company's 50th anniversary, Audemars Piguet also reintroduced a new Royal Oak Jumbo last year. Additionally, Patek Philippe dropped the steel Nautilus reference 5711 before bringing it back with the reference 5811 in white gold, leaving a 41mm gap in its lineup for stainless steel. Appreciating watches from various points of view, not just those we can buy, is a big part of what makes horology so enjoyable. Tudor will play all the hits. When it came to hits last year, Tudor was like Taylor Swift. Three of the company's most cherished models saw significant updates: the Black Bay Pro, the Pelagos 39, and the new Ranger. It's difficult to envision making more significant adjustments to those models so quickly. Therefore, an update on those new models is what we may anticipate, similar to what Apple has been doing with their iPhones. The Tudor Royal, 1926, and the Style models, none of which are now popular among collectors, might then undergo more significant alterations. But they might be totally rethinking. Tudor has yet to completely realize the potential of its Datejust. Perhaps this year it does. One of our dream watches is a Black Bay 58 Pepsi GMT. In late March and early April, Watches and Wonders will launch the new Tudors, and that is what we will be looking forward to finding out soon. The Moon Swatch will lead to something else over the moon. It's difficult to find and a lot to ask of any brand to produce a once-in-a-decade or perhaps a generational horological event that captivates both enthusiasts and non-enthusiasts. Therefore, it's hard to say that we can witness anything that would cause fans to camp out overnight and require additional police to maintain order. It's still difficult to determine whether Swatch Group will increase internal partnerships. The Moon Swatch continues to be quite popular. Despite almost a year having passed since the introduction, many individuals are still having trouble finding one. Though they would struggle to nail down the water resistance, Omega and Swatch may or may not investigate working together on the Seamaster, the other iconic timepiece. We may call the collaboration a Sea Swatch or Swatch Master, but who knows? We can understand the concept of another company attempting to match the enthusiasm of Moonswatch in 2023. It's a Tag Heuer watch. This, however, would not be a joint effort in the same ways that the Moonswatch was. Rather, it would be the cheap restoration of a vintage timepiece. Additionally, it would be wonderful to see Tag Heuer bring back its plastic Formula 1 series, which was very well liked in the 1990s, and not be hesitant to do so in a 36mm watch size and countless color combinations. A revival might enjoy the same kind of widespread cultural acclaim as the Moonswatch and further converge watch and pop culture. Bring it, Tag, bring it! Omega will modify the Seamaster Diver 300M bracelet. Omega updated the Seamaster 3861 in 2021, resulting in a very classy, tapering bracelet with a clasp befitting the vintage timepiece. The Seamaster bracelet now in use merely seems bulky and excessively hefty, not to mention that it doesn't taper at all. While we're on it, let's re-add the text to the clasp that was previously missing. Whereas the previous production models read Omega Seamaster Professional, the latest ones just mention Omega. In its current state, there is far too much vacant space. Thus, it's wonderful that all of us would embrace the change. This is going to be the year of the blue dial. Famous watches like the Royal Oak and Nautilus had blue dials when they first came out, and companies like Tissot, Chopin, and Zenith have launched their integrated bracelet watches with blue face versions with great popularity. Almost everyone adores blue. It's undeniably the most popular color in the world. Now, much the same way the blue dial becomes a safe choice when it comes to dial color preferences, Zenith made sure to keep the blue variant when it unveiled its new Skyline watches this year. Although Tissot will undoubtedly make further improvements to the PRX collection, the blue will always remain the standout. In 2023, no brand will stop producing watches with blue dials, and all models that don't have blue dials will have them. Budget GMTs are likely to continue. Finally, we may need fewer GMTs this year due to the lower market. It's obvious that the possibility to purchase GMT movements from companies like Sopro makes it simple to produce the aforementioned watches. However, let's take a vacation until you can create a GMT with a standalone hour-hand performance or a collared GMT for less than $1,000 like Seiko did last year. These timepieces discredit GMTs. We will start phasing out the term micro-brand. If you have been a watch enthusiast for many years already, for sure, you are already familiar with all the watch terms, including the micro-brand. According to our perspective, small, independent watch companies are more like brands than micro-brands. Numerous watch businesses were offering unique and intriguing designs before the quartz revolution. You can find items with brand names you have never heard of if you enter a flea market or a vintage store. We don't refer to those watches as micro-brands, do we? Let's show some respect for all the craft while also appreciating the rise of certain erstwhile micro-brands, such as Baltic, a company we will undoubtedly be expecting to rise this 2023. Most of these predictions won't come to pass. None of these predictions were made using insider information, which will become clear as the year progresses and few of them materialize. These are only the outcome of my industry observations and spending more time around timepieces than a typical person should be permitted to. We will feel tremendously successful if even one of this comes true. But a huge part of liking watches is hoping that a particular brand produces a specific model, that an online order truly fits, or that an allocation comes in. What are your thoughts about the predictions that we shared for 2023? Do you agree with some of it, or do you have other predictions on your own? We would like to see your answers and opinions in the comments section. If you like this video, we will be glad if you let us know that too. Don't forget to follow us and give us a thumbs up. Once again, this is The Luxury World, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next videos.